Hi, this is Kelly at Looms, and I'm going to show you how to do some weaving on our new rectangle weaving looms. This is a continuous strand, right hand return method of weaving. So basically, as you're starting on the left hand corner, you're going to work across the length of the loom with everything on the left hand side as you're going down. When you're coming back, everything will be on the right hand side and filling in. You'll get to see that as we go along here. You will only be actually weaving with your hook on the left going towards the right. On your return, your right hand return, you will have already wove in those and you're just catching and hanging the correct nails as you go. So let's start out here. I'm at the corner nail here on the left hand side. I'm going to go down to my first open nail here on the left of this area, and I'm going to wrap around, and then I usually kind of hold this up over to the side like that just because of being right-handed. So then you're going to go over, under, all the way through. If this gets too wide and you want to do it in parts, you can do that as well. I find sometimes that's a little easier. There are also longer hooks that you can get called Tunisian crochet hooks. Unfortunately, I do not have those available to order on the website. Okay, this yarn is a little fiddly with me. It likes to split when I'm going through, so I'm just going to re-hook it here and pull it up through. Okay, now your working yarn will trail kind of in the middle. I like to kind of pull it up so it stays there. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm not going to worry about this arc that I'm getting here. I'm going to go back in and push those arcs down after I have done my right hand return. So I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to go to the next nail here. Again, I'm kind of looping around and holding it out of the way. And I'm going to go over, under, all the way across here again. And then I'm going to snag that working yarn and pull it through. And once I get that loop out, then I'm just going to hold my working yarn and pull that through so I'm not stressing the yarn out as I go. Again, I'm going to kind of leave that arc there for now and work down to my next nail. Again, kind of curve it around like that, hold it out of the way, and do my over under again. I'll do a partial one just to show you what that looked like. I go about halfway, again making sure I'm grabbing that under, over, and the yarn will be a little bit resistant to going that direction just because that's not the direction it's currently woven at, so that'll kind of tell you. Okay, so there's a partial. So then I'm going to go back, over, under for the remainder of this and grab that loop. And sometimes, especially with fiddly yarn, doing a partial like that is going to be better because you're not going to be pulling on the yarn quite as hard. So again, I'm going to work some slack in here to bring this up to my next nail. And if you can show over here, I am kind of again pulling this up so that I'm pulling slack out here so that I can kind of pull it along, and I'm not trying not to get this yanked up into the other. I'm trying to keep it kind of looped on each side so that it's more easily identifiable. Okay, again, same thing, over, hold this out of the way and weave it in. You're just going to continue doing this down the full length of the loom until you get to that last one. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video now, and I will pick it back up when I get to this top nail at the end. Okay, I am now ready to go up to this final corner here. So I have just woven through this one. I'm going to catch my nail on the side here. I'm going to weave through. I'm going to do a partial. You can see I kind of use my hands to manipulate and push the threads up and down. Okay, I'm ready to pull that the rest of the way through. Okay, so now I am going to hook on the next available nail on this side. And then you can see I already have it woven across here for the following side. Now the right hand return method, so now I'm going to hook the nails on the right hand side because we hooked on this side before. Now we're going to hook on this side. So empty nail right here, and I'm just going to pull that arc. Okay, then I'm going to go up here. I'm pulling my slack in here. You can see it's kind of pulled up into the triangle here. So I'm going to pull that down, and I'm going to hook the next nail here. Pull a little bit of that slack out. And you can see this is woven all the way through because we had already done that on the first pass. Hooking that next nail, pulling that again, and working down to the next one, pulling that slack out. And I'm almost back to the beginning here. Now at the beginning, I am going to hook again on this right hand side. I'm going to hook the next available nail, take out that slack, and then I'm going to come down here and put the yarn over the next available nail on this left hand side. And then I'm ready to start over just like I had done before. But now I want to go back in with my weaving comb before I do the next row, and I want to take out these arcs. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to push the yarn there and here and just kind of pack it down in. I'm using really dense yarn, so bulky yarn, so I've got a pretty tight weave in here, so I'm having to pack it pretty good. If you don't, then you are going to have a lot of trouble getting those last few rows in because you're going to have it arced out so much that you're going to be really tight in there. So I want to make sure that I pack it in tight enough that I can get those rows in, particularly with this bulky yarn. But this is going to be a scarf for my daughter, and I'm about to change colors here when I get to the halfway point and do gold so that it can be a Gryffindor scarf for her. And I'll show you the finished one at the end of this video. And then pack in this last row. Okay, and then after that you're just ready to start again like I had done the previous row and go from there. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at kelly@kisslooms.com. Thank you. Hi, this is Kelly at Kiss Looms. I was asked recently how to change color on our rectangle weaving looms. This also works the same way on our triangular weaving looms. Now, while I am not changing color here, I kind of goofed with this yarn and managed to pull it apart, the ply apart, so I am having to retie it on here at the beginning now. So right here, this will go around this nail and down to here. So I'm going to start, I'm on the left hand side of my loom. I'm going to take the cut strand and my working yarn, and I'm going to tie them together at this pin here. There's a couple of ways to do that. You can just tie an overhand knot right here and try to pull it in as close as you can to this nail, or you can hold that down there. You can tie a knot like this and just take the two pieces and take these up through, trying not to make my hand too much in the way here, and pull them through like this, the two ends, and then pull that taut into the nail so that it sits right outside there. And then you would just continue then with your working yarn. Then you would go back in and weave these tails here. This particular knot makes a little bit more of a bubble. You don't want to pull it too tight because you want that knot to be soft to be able to weave it in. You can also, after you have finished weaving this, come back in, remove this knot, and then just individually weave those tails in, making sure that this is at least crossed once here to maintain the weave. So those are two ways that you can tie in a new strand of yarn, whether it be another color or you split your yarn out and need to start over. I hope this helps. Thank you. All right, I am ready to wrap the very last row here. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to measure out my yarn so that I can cut it, because I need one single strand that is going to be woven all the way down. So I need to measure that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just wrap here, and I'm just going to measure my yarn as I go down. There should be one single pin left on each wrap here. And when I get to the end here, I'm going to measure some extra just in case, because it's going to get tight, and cut it. And then go back to the beginning here. Now, one thing I like to do when I get down to the last really 3 or 4 rows in here, when things are getting a little bit tighter and I'm having to go in shorter increments to weave through, is I like to use a latch hook tool. So it's got this little thing on there, so I do the over under on it, push up past this latch, grab the working yarn, and let that latch close to pull it back through. And that seems to work pretty easily for this. So I'm going to kind of show you that as I go through this last row here. So I'm going to wrap this corner pin, and then I'm going to weave this single strand through here. And I don't want to go very much at a time, just because it's pretty tight in here. So I'm going to, I need to go under that one, and I'm not sure if I can get past that latch hook on this one here, so I've got to kind of turn it and try to pull it up through here. Well, in the corner, that's not working out so good for me right now. So what I'm going to do is back this out and go back to my crochet hook. And sometimes this happens, depending. I've got pretty thick yarn in here, so that's also going to cause it to be a little tighter in here as well. So I'm going to go back to my crochet hook, and I should be able to get this out when I'm done here. Okay, so around that corner pin, and I'm just going to go over a couple here to get it started. Grab that working yarn and pull it up through. I'm using a bulky yarn on this, so it's a little tighter. I wouldn't necessarily use a bulky on this, maybe as much as a heavy worsted, but particularly on the last few rows, it was really tight to get in through here. So, and grab that working yarn and pull it up through. And you can see I'm pulling the entire tail through, because again, I'm going to finish at the far end there. Okay. And when I get done, I'm going to want to go back in with my comb and kind of brush things to even this out. Right here I've got a pretty good distance, but further down I've got a much bigger space that I need to kind of squish up a little bit more. So I'm just going to continue weaving this through until I get down to the other end, and then I'll show you what I've got. Okay, I'm down to the final corner. I'm using the latch hook again, and I'm just going to go over under here, push up past the latch, Grab the working yarn, pull it through, and I like to pull it like that, and then do this final section right here. Push up past the latch and pull down to the corner like that. And then you want to go back, and anything that looks like it needs to be adjusted to make the spacing more even, you can do that with your fingertip. You can do that with the comb. You want to make sure not to brush the fabric too much with the comb so that you don't pull the fibers up. And then you are all done.